Hello, welcome to the Hockey Show. My name is Roy Bellamy. My co-host is David Drork. He works for the Hockey News. He is not in studio. He is on assignment, and that assignment is family vacation. Ethan is in the shipping container in the EP chair. Rosie is not here. She is still doing March Madness.
Yeah, let's be clear. I'm not the one on vacation, by the way. It's my wife is on vacation. I'm on dad duty.
Oh, you're on dad duty. Yes, you are.
Yeah, I am not on vacation.
No, you got two kids.
I'm working double duty right now. I'm still working, and I'm doing all the dad stuff as well. So let's just,
okay.
Does it look like I'm on vacation? I mean, I'm surrounded by toys, but this is my home.
No, I'm at work. So it looks like you're on vacation.
Awesome Zoom background, by the way, Dworky.
Yeah.
Awesome Zoom background. Top notch.
Had some fake books in there, like Ronan Farrell. Today we have John Buccigross from ESPN to talk about the NCAA men's hockey tournament. For those on DraftKings Network watching today, you can watch that on the LeBatardShow YouTube. Just go to playlist and find the Hockey Show folder. Now, earlier this week, San Diego Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh stopped by the Anaheim Ducks locker room to give a pep talk and announce the starting lineup, and this is how it sounded.
Thanks, Coach Crow. Yeah. Gentlemen, what an honor. This is incredible. It's the kind of stuff I live for right here. This time right before the game, and I can see the heart going. My heart's going too. I was always like one of those race horses at the Kentucky Derby, before a game. Like you can tell. I mean, they got a little sweat. Got a little sweat coming down. You can see the heart pumping, snot bubbles coming out. I mean, you guys are thoroughbreds, man. And Coach was hitting me with this story about the bow and arrow, and got me. I mean, that's why the heart's going right now, man. You got me pumped up right there. So hey, let's go draw the arrow back. I just feel that. I feel that strong. That's strong. Like right there, right? Draw back as far as you can. Aim and release. Take your freaking shot, man. It gets me right there. So go out and play as hard as you can, as fast as you can, as long as you can. Keep your wits about you, and don't worry. Win on three. 1, 2, 3. Win. Okay. The guys leading that hunt tonight. Starting at left wing, Hawkey. At center, Lundy. At right wing, Leeser. Defense, Minty. Helly. And in net, Dusty. Go Ducks. Get a freaking win, all right? Let's go get this thing. Go get after him. Get after him.
The hell?
Get after him.
Who better than us, huh?
I am
no.
confused.
My takeaway from this, how good are those Ducks jerseys? Whoo, boy.
Yeah.
Big upgrade from the Ducks this season. Love them.
I'm still caught up on snot bubbles, and then he became Rudy for a minute. We're gonna go inside. We're gonna go outside, and we're like, I'm just like, I'm sitting there like, I'm a player on that team. Like, is Robin Hood walking in? Like, what's happening?
I mean,
I don't know. That didn't work for me.
The Chargers players get that every day. So think about them in that situation.
Were they in the playoffs last year?
I don't remember, man.
Yes, Justin Herbert threw 4 interceptions, but we don't talk about that.
Okay. All right. Well, we don't talk about that here. This is a hockey show. We talk hockey. Speaking of which, we go from an actual
They lost 5-2 to Carolina that night.
Oh, yeah, well, that didn't work. But we go from a good coach to a good coach that probably made a mistake here. Check out this video here. We got Devils defenseman Johnathan Kovacevic. He answered a post-game question. It was innocuous. It's just regular hockey speak that you hear from these players, just like any other NHL player. Uninteresting and dry as possible. But the Devils head coach Sheldon Keefe apparently didn't like the answer that Kovacevic gave. So this is what he said.
We're in a fight, and hopefully that, gets us in that playoff mentality, 10, 11 games out, and we carry that into playoffs. So, obviously the results are tough, but we're in a fight here, and we're not going to back down.
Kovacevic just mentioned to us that he thinks the team kind of needs to have that playoff mentality going down the stretch here. Is that something
Kovacevic just needs to play better. That would help.
Damn.
Yeah, that's not cool.
That was surprising, right? Coming from Sheldon Keefe?
Yeah.
Like, that was a little bit surprising. I haven't seen him rip a player like that in the media. Maybe I'm not remembering that something happened in Toronto, but oof.
We need to have a playoff mentality is something that anybody would say in that situation. Like, I don't understand why we would have a problem with that.
There's clearly something deeper there. Where, maybe this is like getting into the Torts Cam York, territory. We'll get to that at some point. But I mean, that seemed like there was something there. Like, that did not feel good.
Been a frustrating year for New Jersey, right? And they're kind of limping to the finish line.
Literally
limping with all the injuries that they've suffered in the past, 2 months or so. Right now, they're 7 points back of Carolina, and they're fine in the division because Ottawa's in the Atlantic, so they won't catch them there. But it's been a frustrating year, and it just seemed to all bubble over in the moment. I was listening to 32 Thoughts last week, and they were talking about this, and Friedge was kind of saying that people were hard on Keefe about how he wasn't hard enough on his players in Toronto, and then now he takes a shot at his players, and everybody's mad at him for being hard on his players. So, you can't have both. It's got to be one or the other. So we'll see, how it affects them going down the road, but certainly some interesting comments there.
David mentioned John Tortorella. He got fired yesterday. The Flyers fired him, and the Flyers ended up the day before, I should say, and the Flyers ended up winning the very first game with Tortorella not behind the bench.
And
doesn't that always happen, though?
Yeah,
isn't that always the case when it's...
Yeah, it does. It does, doesn't it?
And Michkov scored,
everybody plays hard for the new guy.
Yeah, exactly. We knew the Flyers were going to be bad, but really the man said that after the Toronto loss, actually, because they beat the Canadiens, after the Toronto loss, he said, really not interested to learn how to coach in this type of season. That's where we're at right now. I mean, Dan Briere as general manager, he said that this is a recent thing. This came into his head recently, like, okay, we're going to have to let this guy go. I mean, but we knew the Flyers were going to be bad. This is a rebuilding season for them. I thought that they had a little bit of promise coming into the next season, but I guess Daniel Briere thought that they should go in a different direction.
This is kind of the typical Torts track, isn't it, where he overachieves with the team his first 2 years, and then by the third year, everybody's sick and tired of him. There's been problems with his star rookie all year, where Michkov, everybody was like, oh, look, Michkov scored in the first game without Tortorella. Of course he did. So it kind of seems to be that track. Somebody called Torts the Stan Van Gundy of hockey, where every time he coaches, he seems miserable, but he just can't stay away from the game. Torts is a really interesting character. I'm sure he'll be on a bench somewhere in the NHL coming soon.
Yeah.
Well, he seems miserable because of his interactions with the media and because the negative ones get overplayed so much. I don't know if it's fair because he looks like supposedly, I've never met him in person. But people say he's a great guy. He's a great hockey guy. So I don't think it's fair to just judge him on that. But man, it sounds like there was some incident that he had with one of his players because Cam York was benched. He dressed. He didn't play any of that win over Montreal, was it the other night? And Michkov, by the way, what did he hit the post on a empty net for a hat trick?
Wow.
It's been a rough year in Philly. Hopefully they get some stability moving forward because they do have some really good pieces there. But it's been a rough time.
And finally, I'm going to continue my streak of laughing at the New York Islanders until they do right by me and people who don't want to see racists get second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth chances in the NHL. They got screwed, just like the Panthers have been screwed, on a goalie interference call. And we're going to play the video here. This is not great. This is against, I believe, Columbus. And yeah, he was outside the crease. I don't really think that was goaltender interference there, but
I'm gonna tell you why I think it was. I don't know if we have the angle, but there's an angle from behind the goalie where you can see as the shot's coming, and that is what we just saw right there for those watching on YouTube. That was in super slow motion. When this was happening in real time, when the contact between Palmieri and Merzlikins happened, the puck was being released at the point at that exact moment. Mm-hmm. So even though in slow motion it looked like Merzlikins, look, here's the replay right here. Is where the defenseman, I'm not sure who it is shooting the puck. So the puck's traveling. By the time Merzlikins has a chance to reset himself, the puck's already halfway to the net. So I understand why that shouldn't have counted. It just doesn't look good in the moment. And good on Roy because it's bad for the Islanders.
Yes, I'm laughing at them regardless of what happens here. Ha, 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 ha. Ha. All right, it's time for Wins and Fails of the Week presented by Jägermeister. Serve it cold or don't serve it at all. Jägermeister. Damn. That's cold. For more, visit Jägermeister.com. Drink responsibly. David, your win of the week.
My win of the week, we don't have to go too far away from South Florida to get there, just a little bit up the coast to Tampa. It's Nikita Kucherov, who is a dark horse for the Hart Trophy this year. I don't know if he's going to get a lot of votes, but he's having an amazing season.
Oh, he bowled him
the
over.
other night against Pittsburgh, he got checked into Alex Nedeljkovic head first, lost the tooth on the goalie mask, which I don't know if I've seen that happen before. That's pretty interesting.
Ooh,
but then what does he do? He comes back. He goes out onto the ice where they're scraping, the commercial breakdown, and he's like looking with his stick. He's looking for his tooth, trying that. That's such a sad thing when you're trying to find your own tooth in the ice. It doesn't look like he ever finds it. But what he does find about 5 minutes later was the back of the net when he scored a power play goal. And I think what was like a 6-1 victory or something over the Penguins, as Tampa's rolling right now. But I just thought that was a cool thing all around. He gets his tooth knocked out by the goalie helmet, goes looking for it because of course he did, and then he scores a goal because he's Nikita Kucherov. Win of the week by far. Good on Nikita.
Probably should check that shovel because it's probably in that shovel with the scraper.
Well, the ice screw definitely got it in its pocket right now. That tooth is on eBay for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I love Dworky saying that's such a sad thing when you're looking for your tooth, as if that's something that's very relatable to all of us. That's a very exclusive to the greatest hockey players in the world problem.
My win of the week is a video with sound here of a dad who created a portable goal horn. Go ahead and play that.
Oh no! A Milwaukee drill? Where did you buy that? Don't do it.
No. Oh my God! Don't. Vito.
Remote control on it, so you can.
Hi, Vito. Oh, I see. You can take that with you and scare people.
That's badass.
That's nuts.
Oh man, that's
recipe for trouble.
I'm showing up with that thing to Claire's game whenever she starts playing hockey. There you go. She scored. Yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna piss off everybody. Ethan.
My win of the week is Alex Ovechkin, and not because he's 6 goals away from breaking the all-time goal record. My win of the week is because of this incredible act of sportsmanship that we saw last night against the Minnesota Wild, where they lose to the Wild. It's a tough loss for them, and he goes to the bench as his teammates are going into the locker room. This is captain-type stuff. Waves everybody out there to shake the hands of old rival Marc-Andre Fleury. Those guys did some incredible battles back in the day when it was them and Pittsburgh going at it. And to see the respect that they have for each other, there's been respect for Fleury all over the league this year. To see that kind of respect from an old rival like that, it's just as cool as it gets. So hats off to Alex Ovechkin for that one.
All right, fails of the week. David.
My fail of the week comes from the Hughes Bowl on Monday between New Jersey and Vancouver. Jacob Markstrom, former Panthers goalie, had one of the most real reactions. You talk about realness, Ethan. After giving up the game-winning goal in the shootout to Johnathan Kovacevic, Markstrom popped up. He took his his hockey stick like he was Babe Ruth with a baseball bat and just cracked it against the post. It was awesome to see, to the point where they were making fun of it on the NHL on TNT broadcast. They got Darren Pang, who's famously a former NHL goalie, but he's shorter than me. He's like 5'7". They brought him like a little miniature goalie helmet, goalie stick to crack on the post. There we go. If you're watching on YouTube.
Anson Carter with a Michigan State jersey.
Oh my God. So credit to Markstrom for being real. Credit to Panger for getting razzed on it. Just a lot of fun all around.
My fail of the week comes from Bruins and Kings. This is the officials' fail. Goalie fights. We need more of them. Jeremy Swayman and Darcy Kemper had a chance to do it, and they go to center ice, gloves, blockers, sticks down, masks down, and broken up. Like before they even get together.
The lamest thing you can possibly do is break up a goalie fight. Swayman's already got his helmet off. They're ready to go at it. There is no reason that fight should have been broken up.
Yeah, and tail of the tape, 6'3" versus 6'5". That would have been a nice little bout there if they had gone through. But the linesman decided, no.
Dworky, you ever been in a goalie fight?
What's that?
You ever been in a goalie fight?
Have I been in a goalie fight? Once. It didn't go well for me.
Oh, no.
But whatever, you get caught up in the moment. I got in a lot of goalie skirmishes. I was a little hothead on the ice. I was an asshole.
Yeah,
I knew that everybody had my back as the goalie. But yeah, didn't go good.
For short guys, short guys like to be scrappy on the ice, right?
Mike Vernon. Remember, Mike Vernon's a short guy, and he went out and he went toe-to-toe with Patrick Waugh and did okay, so I really have no excuse.
By the way, anniversary for that. It was this week, right? Yeah. It was the anniversary of the game in Detroit between the Avalanche and the Red Wings.
Yep.
And so
That was awesome.
to recap that, by the way, it was Chris Draper.
I was about to say
got
Malice
boarded.
at the Palace, but that was the Pistons
No,
Pacers. That's
Pistons.
my bad.
Yeah, Pistons Pacers. But to recap that, the year before in the conference final, Chris Draper was boarded by Claude Lemieux and shattered his jaw. Gone.
Oh yeah.
So
exploded his whole face.
Yeah, and the Avalanche
Such a cheap shot.
ended up going to the cup final that year. Dino Ciccarelli said, "Can't believe I shook that friggin' guy's hand. It sucked." The next year, Brawl City, everybody fighting, and then the Red Wings went to the Stanley Cup final and won. So yeah, that was a rivalry of the '90s, and we all missed that. Ethan, your fellow of the week.
All right, my fellow of the week is Matt Rempe.
Oh Lord.
Again.
This guy features in Fail of the Week seemingly every time, I feel like. But he deserves it this week. Tanner Jeannot here and him going at it for a scrap. How many times have I told you guys this guy isn't actually good at anything? He's bad at hockey. He's bad at fighting. He gets penalties pretty much every time he's on the ice. He gets his ass whooped here by Tanner Jeannot, just like he does every time he fights. Ends up on his ass. Tanner Jeannot actually picks him up off the ground and is like, "Let's go, buddy. Like, you're not getting out of this easy." Yeah. Fail of the week, Matt Rempe, always the fail of the week. Now he's on the injured list and won't be seeing him anytime soon.
I mean, he's like the Islanders for me at this point. For you.
Yeah, the two of you, your anti-New York bias showing.
Oh my goodness. All right, for those on DraftKings Network, we have John Buccigross coming up next. You can watch that interview and the rest of the show on the LeBatard YouTube page. Just go to playlist and find our folder. We got every episode in that folder. So we got John Buccigross coming up next to talk about college hockey. The NCAA men's hockey tournament has started, and you can find all the games across the ESPN platform, the family of networks. And one man who will be prominent on said platforms is John Buccigross, who joins us now. We're going to talk about the Frozen Four. Let's go through the matchups here because last night was absolutely crazy. Cornell upset Michigan State. Game winner with 8 seconds left in regulation. Boston University defeated Ohio State. So the Big Reds, they're going to face the Terriers tomorrow. Western Michigan got past Minnesota State in double overtime. And UMass with a stunning, and I mean this is a stunning overtime victory over the Minnesota Gophers. The Gophers had to change goaltenders in the middle of the third period. Immediately gave up a goal off the face-off, switched goaltenders back because there's an equipment issue. And that was 2 goals in a minute and a half, and then a tripping call was missed in overtime, and then transition, the Minutemen scored, and they will play the Broncos tomorrow. Today's matchups, Maine versus Penn State, UConn versus Quinnipiac, Boston College versus Bentley, and Providence versus Denver. Denver is the defending national champions. So, John, why don't you give us your thoughts on what's going on in the tournament right now?
Yeah, let's start yesterday, Roy. First of all, thanks for having me on the hockey show. I like your cute little cartoon caricatures with their hockey helmets. It's
that's
lovely.
Nice. Thank you.
Love it. But yeah, the Cornell yesterday with that big shocking win. I thought Michigan State was the most dependable team to get to the Frozen Four. Play a pretty simple style, really good goaltender, well coached. But Cornell was going at the right time. They have a little inspiration. Their coach announced his retirement before the season, Mike Schaefer, so every game could be his last. So sometimes that can carry a team emotionally, a little extra effort. Every inch of the ice is protected, and they got the job done. Western Michigan had a really good year this year, 30 wins. I think Pat Ferschweiler, their head coach, could be an NHL candidate for a few teams if they're looking for a fresh start and a good coach who's obviously can inspire people. He took over for Andy Murray. You remember that name for a long time, NHL head coach for the Kings. He went to Western Michigan. Pat took over for him. He's done a great job there. They squeaked by Minnesota State. So you had a really exciting day. And BU with an 8-3 win over Ohio State. Sometimes those hockey games go sideways. So that can happen, especially in the tournament when everyone's wired tightly and then things don't go your way and it just kind of collapses. And so that can happen. Today, looking forward to it. Beautiful day here in New Hampshire. I have the #1 overall seed, Boston College Eagles. Ryan Leonard, Washington Capitol fans are excited about him. He was their 8th overall pick a couple of drafts ago. Will likely win the Hobey Baker for best college hockey player. We'll get to see him in person today at a nice, small, intimate rink here in Manchester playing Bentley, which is just located outside Boston in Waltham, Massachusetts. First time they've ever been here, Bentley. And so that's always a fun story to watch them. And then you mentioned defending champs, the Pioneers. They play Providence, who hasn't been here since 2019. This is the 10th year anniversary of them winning their first and only natty in 2015 against Jack Eichel and BU in 2015. Providence finally back. after a 2019 appearance. That's when they lost in Buffalo in the Frozen Four. And so they're back. So Providence, Denver, this is the 8-9 matchup. So mathematically, it's the best, closest matchup. But I really like that Penn State Maine game. I think that's the best first-round game we have. That's in Allentown. The place will be packed. Obviously, it's close to Penn State. Big advantage for Penn State. Little disadvantage for Maine. They're a number one seed. They got to basically play a road game. But they travel well. They should have a couple thousand fans there themselves. So it won't be like a 95-5 or 90-10 crowd. But it still should be 80-20, 75-25. But that's a really exciting first-round matchup.
Bucci, I've got a million questions for you. There are a million ways I could go, but I'll start here. BC has this star-studded line that basically carried the Americans to the World Junior Championship this year, right? But they also have the the tragedy of Johnny Gaudreau is affecting them as well, just like the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Calgary Flames. So the way that a lot of NHL fans are kind of, we're all Blue Jackets fans this year, is that the same kind of thing for BC?
Maybe for them personally, but maybe not quite with the fan base. Obviously, Johnny hasn't been there for 12 years when he played Matthew 11. But yeah, the last time they won the national championship was 2012. That was Johnny Gaudreau's amazing year in Tampa, Florida. That amazing goal that he had late in the game that punctuated that win. Obviously, he and his brother Matthew, just awful, the saddest hockey story just imaginable this past summer. And they lost another member of the family as well. 40-year-old died of a heart attack. So they have three initials on their uniform. And it's been on the board there. We did a nice hour-long show on preceding the tournament and previewing the tournament with really good E60 features, beautifully done. Probably the best college hockey telecast that's ever been done because of the E60 strength behind it. And we did a beautiful feature on it. It's on ESPN Plus. I highly recommend college hockey fans and hockey fans to watch it. Feature on Jimmy Snuggerud, feature on Trey Augustine, feature on Denver's as well, and it's feature on the Gaudreau brothers and Tony Bose and how they're honoring them this year. So yeah, that gives you an idea. There is a cause for sure for the players, and they feel it. It's emotional. And don't forget, they lost last year in the national championship game 2-0 to Denver. If they win today and Denver wins today, that's our rematch here in Manchester on Sunday. So it's right there. The other problem facing a team like Boston College and other teams that have NHL prospects, do they have one foot out the door? As soon as Boston College loses, Ryan Leonard will be a Washington Capital 2 days later playing for them, and he's going to sign a contract. He's going to get his big rookie bonus. He's going to start, making his $800,000 a year, although there's only a couple paychecks yet left this year. But so that's the problem when you have these teams like that. I get it when you're 19, 20 years old. They always say, I'm not thinking about that. I'm compartmentalizing, but I know I would have thought about it when I was 19 years old with zero money in my checking account. So, that's the big challenge with these hyper, talented teams. You mentioned, obviously Leonard, James Hagan's going to be a top 5 pick in the draft this summer, so he can't go anywhere. Gabriel Perreault is a Ranger first-round pick. We'll see if he goes. I think he should come back one more. But yeah, that's the issue same with Denver and Zeev Buium, who will be in Minnesota's lineup as a big-time defenseman. So that's the issue with these young teams and why a team like Cornell, an older team, and Bentley even, an older team, this is it for them. This is the highlight of probably their hockey careers, where these other prospects had the NHL to kind of get distracted by.
You kind of led me perfectly into what I wanted to ask you about, because you mentioned like Leonard, with BC, with the Capitals, Perreault also BC with the Rangers. You got Jack Devine at Denver. Panther fans are always asking about him. Yeah. Who do you think about this crop of talent? Who do you think would be the most pro ready if they were to make that decision?
Leonard and Buium. Leonard more so because he's a forward. Buium a defenseman. It's hard. A 19-year-old defenseman coming into the league. These guys are big, strong men in the corner. And he's offensively dynamic. He's absolutely a sensational player to watch. He breaks people down like few hockey players do. I always compare it to like Allen Iverson, crossover dribble. He breaks people down like he's on tennis shoes. Rasmus Dahlin of Buffalo. Quinn Hughes of Vancouver does it. Obviously Cale Makar, that they can break people down one-on-one. He can do that. And so he's in that kind of class offensively. Defensively, it'll be a little tougher. So I would say Ryan Leonard, to go to a good team, they can pick his spot, pick his slot where he can maybe be comfortable. And so he would be the one that we're going to see in Washington's lineup as a depth guy. We'll see how, they might realize, he's kind of, he plays a different game in college, gets a lot of breakaways, little Pavel Bure center ice logo hanging around to get those little cherry picking, try to get those plays. Got to play a little more honest 200-foot game in the Stanley Cup playoffs for a Stanley Cup contender. So he'll need to make that quick adjustment. I think he can. He's wired for this. And I think he'll be the guy who makes the biggest impact right away. But over time, there's plenty of people who will make their presence felt in the NHL.
You guys mentioned a couple of names from the finalist list from the Hobey Baker Awards. So let's go over the entire list for best hockey player in the country. Z. Bouillon and Jack Devine from Denver, Aiden Fink from Penn State, Matt Godowski from Army, Isaac Howard from Michigan State, Ryan Leonard from Boston College, Ayrton Martino from Clarkson, Liam McClinsky from Holy Cross, Jimmy Snuggerud from Minnesota, Alex Tracy from Minnesota State. So
some unreal names on that list.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So you have any thoughts on any of the names that we haven't mentioned yet, John?
Yeah, I think the votes are due after this weekend's games. And there'll be a final three. So whoever gets the three highest vote totals become the final three. And then they go to the show on the Friday in St. Louis in between the Frozen Four games, and they'll have the half-hour show on NHL Network, and then they'll unveil the winner. And I'm pretty sure the top three is going to be Leonard, Bouillon, and Howard. It might be Snuggerud. It'll be close. Hobey Baker likes when people come back for their third year, like Snuggerud did. Obviously, heartbreakingly lost last night in overtime, a game they should have won against UMass. The grandfather played for the Gophers. The dad played for the Gophers. And one of the stories that we did on that E60 show on ESPN Plus was, just trying to. They also had heartbreaking losses in the tournament. He was hoping to be the first Snuggerud to finally get it done. And this team is stacked. Minnesota has the most NHL players on it, who future NHL players. We might see 6 next week. Rinzel with the Blackhawks, Snuggerud with the Blues will probably play. Oliver Moore might be playing for the Chicago Blackhawks as well. So they are loaded up and down the lineup, but Snuggerud couldn't get it done. So it might be Snuggerud, Howard, but I really do think it'll be Howard, Leonard, and Bouillon. And I do think that Leonard in the end will win the Hobey Baker. Hobey likes goals. He has 29 to lead the league. And all these stats keep counting. So, he's the current leader. And so these stats count right to the end of the tournament. So I think Leonard will win it Friday, which makes me interesting. Like if BC doesn't make it, he goes to the Capitals. Like he might not be able to be at the ceremony, which kind of stinks. I get it, but maybe they're off that day. I didn't check their schedule, but maybe they can zip him in, zip him out to get that picture next to the Hobey Baker. It's a cool trophy. The names who are starting to win it recently are like NHL guys too. Cal McCarr, Jack Eichel. It's a cool trophy to win. Again, much like Heisman Trophy, it's a cool one to have forever. So I think Leonard will win it.
The Frozen Four, the actual semifinal is April 10th. And the national championship is April 12th in St. Louis on ESPN2 and ESPN+. Before we move on to the NHL, I want to give a shout-out to the women. Wisconsin won the national championship on the women's hockey side. And Layla Edwards, I see you. All right.
Ohio.
So, yeah.
Ohio in the house.
Ohio.
That team was loaded. What a game it was to win, to tie the game on a shootout and then win it. Game. That legendary performance by Mark Johnson. And who wants it when he called it? Who wants the penalty shot? Raise the hand, go out and score. That was great television as well.
And now Mark Johnson, 1980.
Yeah, he was the best player in that team. Had a really good career, too, in the NHL. Almost a point-per-game guy. I did a column on ESPN.com a few years ago, and I give my top 20 all-time American-born players. And at the time, I had him like 19 because of the Miracle on Ice, because of his success in college, and a solid NHL career, almost point per game. I had Mark Johnson in my top 20 all-time born USA players.
2 goals in that Russia game, right?
Big one. He had the big one late in the period, right? He was their best player throughout the tournament, and now amazing women's coach at Wisconsin, just piling up the national championships.
You mentioned Team USA. Layla Edwards is now joining Team USA as they go off to play in the Women's World Championship. So good luck to Team USA.
She can fire the puck. Unbelievable how she can fire. She's going to play defense on that team, Roy. She's normally a forward for Wisconsin, but they're going to put her as a defenseman, so she's pretty versatile.
So it's basically Dustin Byfuglien.
That's right. Good call. I like it.
Yeah. You have been on Alexander Ovechkin watch as we transition to the NHL now. And I was looking up the exact date that you predicted that he would break the record. And originally, you said he would break the career goals record in the spring. of 2026 originally. And then you updated it.
Right.
Yeah. And then
Make a bunch of you make a bunch of them, and then you just go with one.
When did he say this? Because I was watching a Canadian broadcast the other night. I can't remember the game, but on Sportsnet or TSN, they had somebody on who said it around 2015 or 2016 as well.
We have cleared this up. I wrote my original ESPN.com column saying I think Alex Ovechkin can break this record in February of 2010. He came to ESPN to shoot one of those This Is SportsCenter commercials, the Russian spy one. Where
Top 5 all time.
Coming out of the roof.
Top 5 to This Is SportsCenter.
Yeah,
I'm coming up with my list right now.
Great spot. And so at the time, I was writing my hockey column for .com once a week. I did it from 01 to 2017, about 16 years. A lot of work. Paid me like $500 a week. I was so underpaid. So I figured, you know what, I can ask him a few questions. I'll kind of, piggyback on this little shoot. I heard he was coming, and I brought it up, and he looked at me like I had 10 heads because he's 24 years old at the time. He's been in the league for 4 years. I go, but my point was he had such a big, broad, foundation. He got off to a great start for goals, and he just looks like the kind of guy who wasn't going to get hurt. Like LeBron, never got hurt, and then here we are. So, and then 2015. I think that's when David Amber first mentioned it to Elliot Friedman. Hey, ask Ovi about the record maybe. And so we've texted, me and Ray Ferraro have texted Elliot to clear up because it's right on the interwebs, Buccigross, Ovechkin, Gretzky, it'll come up there. And I kind of forecasted each age from 24 on when he could break the record. I was very reasonable in my projections, like when he was 36. Well, Brett Hall had like a 39 goal season, so why can't he? Age 37, Phil Esposito had like 38. Well, he could do that then. I was kind of historical comparisons all the way to age 40. And I actually reached the point where like, holy crap, this guy's going to score like 1,000 goals. Forget the record. The record was never a question to me. I thought it was less likely. It was more likely he would score 1,000 than he would not break the record, and I'm still going to stick with that if he decides to play, 3 more years, he's going to get 1,000 goals. So 2010 was the original column. And then, then I made a few predictions about when, and I think I've deleted all those tweets that were wrong and saved the one that was closest.
What did you think of what happened? Was it last night, Roy, in Minnesota? When Ovi called basically the entire Caps team back onto the ice to honor another legend who's retiring after the season, and Marc-Andre Fleury. I thought, I don't know why I was surprised by that. I guess maybe because Ovechkin he's not in the spotlight for more than his goals record a lot right now. But I mean, just for the kind of guy he is, that was just so cool to see. Something that we probably, when do you see those kind of like generational type guys come together like that? I thought that was just spectacular.
I've always thought he's done a good job really assimilating himself right from his rookie year to the NHL, even America, even the culture, even like, he would do in local ads as soon as he became a Capital. He was goofy. When the Russians first came into the league, actually going back to Miracle on Ice, you mentioned Mark Johnson, how dour they were. They were just so, of course, their lives were terrible. They were, they had to just go play hockey around the world. None of them had anything. Remember the famous story? They would trade vodka for blue jeans in Lake Placid because they couldn't get any blue jeans. So they would trade with the Americans, get some blue jeans to wear. It was a tough existence, It was kind of, and the players seemed to reflect that just in their countenance and their expressions when they first came to the NHL. But then over time, it kind of changed. And Ovechkin was the first one. He was a goofy, like there weren't goofy Russians in the 80s. You know what I mean? The 70s and the 80s and the early 90s when Fetisov first coming over and those guys, he was really out there and he just kind of embraced it all and being goofy, never took himself seriously, understood like Arnold Schwarzenegger that, my English is going to be perfect, but I'll try and I'll laugh and I can laugh at myself and just the whole game. And he kind of learned and then the Stanley Cup has grown to become the trophy in sports. It used to be the gold medal. The gold medal is still very huge. Don't get me wrong. But back in the old days in the NHL 70s and 80s, the Europeans couldn't wait to lose so they could go back home and they weren't getting paid in the playoffs. So to them, it didn't have any kind of impact. That slowly changed, and you saw Ovechkin's reaction when he won the Stanley Cup, and that shows you what the value of the trophy means now and the accomplishment. So I agree. He really has, endeared himself completely to the NHL now, and all countries and all players from all countries do that now. And that wasn't the case initially in the NHL.
Bucci, before we get you out of here, you mentioned that This Is SportsCenter commercials. I fell asleep and woke up to SportsCenter every day growing up, and these.
I love that shirt, by the way. That's like Atlanta Braves combination
Florida
Gators shirt. Really
it's a
cool.
Gators shirt, baby. So I put together my list of top 5 This Is SportsCenter commercials really quickly. I scrambled, so I might have missed some of my favorites, but this is what I came up with off the top of my head. I want to run it by you.
Yep.
All right, OLI, outside looking in. As I mentioned, Florida Gators, Steve Irwin with Albert the Alligator.
Really good.
All right, number 5. David Ortiz trying on a Yankees hat, and Wally the mascot walks by and gets mad at him.
Agreed. Sneaky good. Sneaky good.
Number 4, Scott Van Pelt. His cubicle is right next to LeBron James, and he steals LeBron James's chair.
Simple, clean, good. Simple, more simple the better.
Number 3, Scott Van Pelt, a big feature on this list. Stu Scott and Scott Van Pelt warming up before the show, and they rip off the suit. Number 2, the inspiration for this list, Alex Ovechkin, the Russian spies.
Okay.
And number 1, this is far and away the greatest. They're in the cafeteria. Arnold Palmer walks up, pours an Arnold Palmer. I can't say that word either, Lucy. And then they whisper to each other, "That was awesome." I know. Greatest This Is SportsCenter commercial.
Oh, good. I would just add, "Follow Me to Freedom," Charlie.
Follow Me to Freedom.
Oh, that's great. That's a good one.
Jay Harris with the New York Jersey Devil mascot. No words.
That was
going down. And he gets out of the elevator. I love the Van Pelt thesaurus one. When the guys come in, it was the steroid era and like performance enhancing as a writer, and they found this thesaurus in his desk, and he tries to run and they tackle him. Oh, sorry, I like that one too. I like the OV one too. So yeah, I did about 12 to 15 of those. Then one was Shaq, where he walks up the tree and he pulls down the human mascot
Mike
of
the
the
Tiger. Mike the Tiger. Yeah, that's a good one.
You think he's getting a kitten out of the tree, and it's actually the human-sized mascot who looks like a baby in Shaq's arms. And I did that with Stu. That was a great memory, a great day being around those guys. So yeah, those are fun. We don't do them anymore. They're really expensive to do.
Yeah.
They were part of the budget cuts originally. So now we kind of make some new ones. We do it in-house and do it ourselves. But that was it was like a movie set. There'd be 100 people, really talented directors. And we'd make up a lot of stuff. In fact, the Adrian Peterson one where I call Van Pelt bedwetter, hey bedwetter. We just made that up. And that was the one they ended up using, not the real scripted, take forever to plan and shoot. It was just that one. Let's try this. So a lot of those, we would do the one they scripted and then say, let's try this. Let's try this. And I bet that was the Devils one with Jay Harris. And let's just try this. You just walk in the elevator, you ask if he's going up, and he says no, and you hurry up and get out. And those were some great memories.
Finally, Brad Marchand is playing tonight for Florida.
Yes.
So he's going to be on the second line with Mackie Samoskevich and Sam Bennett. There's a 3-way tie in the Atlantic Division right now. Toronto has first place based on the third tiebreaker with regulation and overtime wins. Panthers are in second, and Tampa is now in third. They are in third because they played one more game than Tampa and Toronto and Florida. So how is Brad Marchand's addition to the Florida Panthers going to affect this first place race for the Atlantic Division?
Yeah, he just gives them a big jolt of energy late in a long NHL season. The players will be excited during warm-up. Warm-up will have a buzz to it. Marchand will be flying around the ice to know he's on a Stanley Cup contender. Remember, he's only won one. It was 15 years ago. He's a young kid. It'll mean a lot this time as well as he's toward the end of his career. So he's just going to bring energy and obviously the on-ice stuff, the grit, the playmaking, just a good hockey player. But I think overall energizing the room. And, that's the difference between the NCAA hockey tournament that we started talking about and the NHL and why the Panthers are the favorite, because it's not one and done. You have to beat them 4 out of 6 times or 4 out of 7 times. That's hard. And that's why they're the favorite amongst those three. Home ice doesn't really matter in the NHL. We see the history of it. It's 50-50 home and road records. It does tick up a little bit for the home team in Game 7, a little more of an advantage. But otherwise, you can win in the road. Players enjoy it. They like that us against them mentality, as the Panthers have shown in their last few years here on their cup run. So, yeah, he'll add a lot, and they are the favorite, to get back to the cup final for the third straight year, and they need that. It's tiring to do this every year, so they need these little bursts of energy that Marchand will provide.
The Frozen Four is on the ESPN family of networks. Guys, enjoy college hockey. John Buccigross, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, it's time to review what happened this week in Pantherland. And the Panthers had back-to-back games on Saturday and Sunday at Washington and back home against Pittsburgh. In Washington, not good. They lost 6-3, and it was a wild first period. It was tied 3-3 after the first 20. But the way the Panthers looked on defense, it was pretty much inevitable that they were going to end up losing that game. And the Capitals shut them down for the rest of the game. And Alexander Ovechkin did not score a goal, but he had 2 assists. So
everybody else scored a goal.
Yeah, everybody else scored a goal, including Tom Wilson, who continues to have a career year.
Yeah.
30-plus
goals now for Tommy W. But you could tell from early on that was not going to go the Panthers' way that game. Just it was back and forth, a lot of rush goals. Like you said, the first period, 3 goals each. I think Washington took 3 leads for it, tied it 3 times, and then when the second period started, Washington was up 5-3 before the second period was a minute old. Just very un-Panthers like. Maybe perhaps a wake-up call for Florida as they were wrapping up that road trip, but just not pretty.
Tom Wilson is now a goal away from his career high, and an assist away from career high. Ethan, yeah, I mean that's really surprising.
Washington is so weird to me. Like this team, I mean, I know they got a lot better. They had a great offseason, and everybody's really excited about them and everything. But Tom Wilson scoring 32 goals and just the way that everything is happening around the Ovechkin chase, I'm still sticking on this team. I don't want to call them frauds because they're good. I don't see them going very far in the playoffs. I just think that they're a team that just has a great regular season, and they run into one of these tougher teams in the playoffs, and they struggle a lot to score. They're kind of like I think we talked about this last week. They're kind of like the Panthers when they won the President's Trophy, where they score, but when it comes to playoff time, is that really going to be an effective strategy to go deep in the playoffs? I don't think so.
Apologies, by the way. He already has a career high in goals, so there's that. But the good news out of that is Sam Bennett continues to help the pets. He's helped another pet get adopted through Benny's Buddies in the Humane Society of Broward. He had a goal and assist. And he's 5 goals away and 2 points away from his career high in each of those categories. It's a contract year, fellas.
It is. And remember early on, Bennett had that, 17 or 18 games where he didn't score a goal. The fact that he's still got, 23 now, Roy? 22, 23? Whatever it is, it's been a pretty impressive season. But I think the time that he's out of the lineup, it's never more apparent that the Florida needs Sam Bennett in their lineup. And I really hope as we get towards the offseason that the Panthers and Sam Bennett figure out a way to get something done. I think with both of their UFAs, with Bennett and with Ekblad, it's been pretty clear that both of them are pretty integral parts of the Panthers machine that keeps churning along. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get something done with those guys as we get closer to the offseason.
5 goals away and 2 points away from a career high. That's good stuff from Benny there. So, yeah.
That's how you play in a contract year, Roy.
Yep,
if you want to get paid, that's how you do it. And Benny, right now, he's on track to get paid. There were recent reports from Elliot Friedman that the Panthers and Bennett have started talks again. He said they were really close when they started talks earlier this year. It didn't quite come to fruition. I think with the cap stuff, the way it's going up, all of a sudden he saw a little more value. But also, this has been a great relationship. Benny's been really good here. It wouldn't surprise me if they get a deal done at all, and they kind of need to. He's a very valuable player, and like Dworky mentioned, Ekblad, has been just the defensive leaks in this game are crazy. The defensive leaks since Ekblad went out have been very un-Panther-like. They really need to try and get both of these guys re-signed, or else it's going to be an interesting offseason for sure.
So the Panthers complete their 6-game road trip, going 2-4-0. Not good. Not good at all. They were outscored 18-4. So a little home cooking for them was very much needed. And the Panthers played the Penguins. And all 3 of the matchups have gone past regulation. Extra hockey. That means more Sidney Crosby for me. Hooray. Just, what are we doing here, man? Just winning regulation.
Smile. It's all for you.
No.
It's all for you, Roy.
No. By the way,
these teams know how much you love was it black and yellow, right? That's Pittsburgh, black and yellow,
Yeah,
black
that's
and yellow,
correct.
like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they know how much that you love that. So I feel like you should just smile and say thank you for this extra access to this generational player that everybody seems to love but me.
Okay, whatever. By the way, those 3 games, very important in the standings because that would have figured it into the tiebreaker with Toronto. Right now, and we mentioned this with Bucci, a 3-way tie in the Atlantic Division. So, and that tie, by the way, 35 wins in regulation, both Toronto and Florida. So they had to go to the third tiebreaker with regulation and overtime wins, and Toronto has the advantage on that. So, win games in regulation, and they did not versus the Penguins as the Panthers won 4-3. But Alexander Barkov in the shootout, best backhand in the game, just making goaltenders look silly, Ethan.
He is so good at the shootout. It feels like every time he is in one, it's a shock if he doesn't score. You know he's going to score when he gets into the shootout. Rhino should have tucked the game away. He beat Jari, but it just went off the post. His shooting, he's had a little bad puck luck recently. But the star of the shootout for me was Sergei Bobrovsky. He saved all 3 attempts. Yeah. And the final attempt against Brian Russ, who had 2 goals in this game, I thought he was beaten. I think Goldie thought he was beaten. Yeah. But then Bobrovsky kind of like moved his pad, and you saw the puck just sitting in the crease. It had not gone in, and you were like, "Oh my God, the Panthers won." So that was a crazy shootout. Bob has been absolutely phenomenal recently, and it shouldn't be any surprise, right? We all kind of knew he struggled early. It'll be fine. He'll round into form come February, and I think his number since. I can't remember exactly when, since January, he's got under 2 goals allowed per game. Mm-hmm. His save percentage is up near .930, maybe even over .930. He's been absolutely fantastic. He's going to be ready for the playoffs once again, and he's going to have to put the Panthers, he's probably going to put the Panthers on his back just like he has the last 2 years.
This is going to make
Sergei
Dave
Bobrovsky in the month of March, fellas. 6 wins in 8 games, 3 shutouts, 1.50 goals against, and a .935 save percentage. This guy is ready for the playoffs.
Yes, he is. And this is going to make Dave happy. He had an assist in the game.
Yes.
Yeah, there you
Goalie
go.
assist.
Goalie assist.
Count for double.
Sam Reinhart had 2 goals in the game as well. The Panthers are going to play Utah tonight. So
weird to say, right?
Yeah. The Utah Hockey Club. 4-day break for the Panthers. UHC, even though that's not what they put on the graphic in the upper third for the scoreboard, but UHC. We mentioned this to the Bucci earlier that Brad Marchand hopefully will make his debut tonight.
Confirmed. He's making his debut. Paul Maurice announced in the press conference today.
So it's looking like the second line, correct? He's going to be in Matthew Tkachuk's spot as well as Mackey and Sam Bennett. So
that's right.
That's going to be
Marchand and Bennett.
When you look at these lines, all of a sudden what these lines look like when the Panthers are at full strength, you're looking at either Mackey Samoskevich, possibly Evan Rodriguez on the 4th line.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Mackey on the top line.
Ridiculous.
You could put Mackey up top. You could have Verhaeghe on the 3rd line or vice versa.
Lundell
either way.
and Luostarinen, Boquist on the 4th line, Erod on the 4th line. Like, I don't know what the hell Paul Maurice is going to do with these lines, but just like the Panthers did last year where they had 5 lines they could roll out there if they wanted to, they're going to have 5 lines that they could roll out there again. Guys like A.J. Greer, Jonah Gadjevich, and Thomas Nosek, who have been solid players for the Panthers all year long, are going to possibly be on the wrong end in the playoffs. It's going to be amazing to see what Maurice does and what this team looks like at full strength, because you're talking about Evan Rodriguez, who led the Stanley Cup final in goals last year, possibly being a 4th liner come playoff time. It's insane.
It's a good problem to have, being that deep.
It's the best problem to have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Kevin Stanley's coming back. He's going to get his tribute video. That's great.
His tribute video should just be
the penalty kill.
The penalty kill.
Yeah.
Correct. Just play the penalty kill in full. The minute 30 where he doesn't have a stick and he's diving head first to try and clear the puck, and then Bobrovsky. That should just be – they don't need to show anything else.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. The biggest and greatest penalty kill in franchise history. Straight up. Utah is coming off of a 8-0 beatdown against – they lost in Tampa. That was bad. The Panthers last time they played Utah, it was the first matchup that they had since Utah moved from Arizona. and that was a
It's gut
dominant
check
4-1
time.
win. Yeah.
Utah, they're basically like, what are they, 10 points out of a playoff spot right now with 10 games to go? Like they have zero margin for error. They basically have to win out and then hope to get some help.
Yep.
I know that after the game last night in Tampa, a couple of guys were talking about like, we really have to like check ourselves if we want to talk about the playoffs. Like, guys, the playoffs are like passing you by. That time is basically passed for the Utah Hockey Club. So we'll see what kind of effort they have, because having their season end basically with an 8-0 loss in Tampa, it probably killed them.
Yeah, not a good problem to have in that, and the opposite end on that one. Sunday and Tuesday, back-to-backs. I should say home and homes, not back-to-backs, but home and homes against the Montreal Canadiens. The Habs are in the last wildcard spot in the East. They got 4 teams chasing them, as we mentioned with Bucci. Cole Caulfield dedicated his season to Johnny Gaudreau, changed his jersey number. He has 34 goals and 29 assists for 63 points. Nick Suzuki's leading the team in points with 73. He's got 22 goals and 51 assists. These are big games for the Canadiens.
Monty's having a great year for them too. Another former Panthers goalie out there to talk about, but it's been fun. They've really responded to Marty St. Louis. Remember when he took over a couple of years ago? After was it like toward the end of the season? We're like, yeah, actually played pretty well under him. Well, I mean, look what's happening now. So it'll be fun to see if we can get another Canadian team into the playoffs. Roy, I know we talked about it last week, but anytime you get the Canadian teams in the playoffs, you know it gets rowdy up there, especially in Montreal.
Panthers 4 days off between tonight's game and Sunday's game, but the schedule just loads up at the end here. They get that tough back-to-back home and home with Montreal, not back-to-back, but Sunday, Tuesday. That's still a tough trip. And then a back-to-back on Wednesday against Toronto, and then another back-to-back the next weekend on Saturday and Sunday. So there's 3. I think they have 2 more back-to-backs the rest of the season. It's a brutal stretch, and it's going to be 3 more back-to-backs, excuse me. 3 more back-to-backs the rest of the season. So they needed those 4 days really badly.
Yes, the rest is very important. And good to have Brad Marchand on this team now, because they need the support, because it's going to be a long one for the rest of the season. So
it's going to be so weird seeing him in a Panther jersey tonight.
Yeah.
Like, even if we were watching this after it happened, it's still weird for you. Like, it's going to be an adjustment period for sure.
I cannot wait.
Yeah, neither can I. For Ethan, for Dave, for Jason, for Gino. My name is Roy Bellamy. We'll see you next week.